Today, I think I'm going to talk about wasted opportunities and how I'm not going to waste this opportunity to film something as gorgeous as this out here in the middle of nowhere. When it comes to video games and just playing video games in general and being a YouTuber and doing those types of things, you have some opportunity some days to try out certain things, certain games, if the chance ever does arise. And the same thing goes, like we recently talked about how reviews for video games, how the Gamer came out with that review article saying, oh, you need to trust the reviewers some more. Well, there is another part to that. And so this is maybe a follow-up to that, and maybe a little bit more that I'm realizing behind the scenes on what's going on here. You know, I used to be part of the Magic the Gathering content creator program. It was something that I did for a while when we played a lot of Magic the Gathering Arena. But I gave that up when the game kind of just became more predatory than a fun-filled game. And that was something that I gave up. But at the same time, there's a lot of games out there. Like lately, we've been playing a lot of Elden Ring. That's an amazing game. I absolutely love it. And if it wasn't for the fans of the channel, I wouldn't be playing that game because it's a very, very costly game. And, you know, the cost to run the channel and the cost to do things is not cheap. I'm out here in the middle of nowhere. It cost me a lot to come over here, but we had to budget this as a family to do this away. And this is something that, you know, I don't get the opportunity to film something this incredible very often, and I can't resist not walking down a sandy beach and filming some stuff and just talk about how costs and how things do add up, how it's a different entity altogether. Now, if I wasn't running the channel, I wouldn't be talking about things like this. I would be saving my pennies. I'd be probably working every second I can when I'm not working, just to be able to afford things like this. And I gotta say, if it wasn't for the job that I do outside of the channel, I wouldn't be able to afford things like this at all. There's no way. And recently, of course, we went through a lot of hardship, and we've bounced back, and that's what this is. This is us bouncing back from the brink. We were not in a good place. But, you know, I'm also hearing topics out there when you talk about things a little bit more disparaging. When you talk about some of the topics we have on the channel, and people don't like it. I've seen some of the comments. I've seen the ratios that come out on my channel. I've seen it out there. And I understand that not everyone is going to agree with everything I say, but at the same time, you've got to realize I'm doing this for entertainment. I'm doing this so all of you can enjoy something like this, and myself included. You know, I'm just grateful people are sitting there willing to listen and put in their 2 cents. Some days it's a little disheartening to see some of the comments that I do get, because, you know, there's only so many times I can be told to go jump off a cliff or jump into the middle of the ocean. But that's besides the point. I tend to ignore those types of people, and they tend to find themselves the doorway out of here. So it is something that I deal with, and something I've dealt with for quite a while. And when it comes to the video games, a lot of us like the certain video games we like for that reason. We like the video games the way they are. The newer games where they've got to inject and change up the game, and now, you know, I sit there and talk about it, you know, and it was stuff that I talked about back with Magic the Gathering, how the art form changed, how they banned certain artists like Therese Nielsen for having an opinion. Literally liking a tweet online got her banned from ever drawing Magic the Gathering art ever again. I did a whole video on that back a long time ago when we were covering Magic the Gathering, and that's probably one of the points where I started looking at Magic in a very, very different light. Thinking it's not the same, it's not what it should have been. There was a lot of stuff, and it's very sanitized now to what it used to be. Magic the Gathering has lost all appeal. I look at things like Sorcery or Flesh and Blood. They're much better looking card games overall. They've got better quality. That's the other thing that we see with Hasbro is they cut corners every second of the way. They cut the corners, and that's what a lot of people are doing in this space now. Those that are willing to speak up and speak out and give an honest opinion on the video games that we see. And that was very cold on the feed as the water rushes in here. A lot of us are very opinionated, and we will talk about it. And unfortunately, it ends up on the shit end of the stick, where companies like Sony or Capcom will never really support something like this. Sponsorships are besides the point. I have yet had a sponsorship on this channel, other than the fan funding, of course. And by no surprise, I put my voice out there, and a lot of people don't like it. And a lot of devs, they don't want to associate with that because they don't want to have their name dragged in the mud. I don't have a big reach, though, and I'd be willing to work with anyone that's willing to listen. And that's the bigger deal here. I've seen a lot of and heard of a lot of companies out there that just have a different aspect, a different take on and that's the way things go some days. I've been covering articles from like Bounding into Comics to That Park Place, which I've even gotten comments a lot of times where they don't agree with the people writing these articles, but they've done the legwork and they've been able to put up some of the info that is very important to the conversation on the discourse that we have out there. And that's the other thing. No one wants the negativity. No one wants to talk about it. But when it comes to a YouTube algorithm, it's the negativity and the drama that pushes everything forward. You're not going to watch 5-10 videos in a row if it was all positive stuff. You're not going to watch it all. You're not going to watch every last thing. Unless you're looking for a playlist of things, of hidden secrets in a video game, you're not going to watch it, right? I know myself, I've been caught up in things like Legend of Zelda and Elden Ring, where I'll sit there and I will watch things that are very interesting, like glitches and hidden things, secrets. But ultimately, unless you're doing that legwork to do videos like that is immense, right? This is a little bit more to the truth of the Gamer article that came out talking about reviewers. How 100-hour game takes so long to review, and they have to sit there and knuckle down and play through the entire game, get through the entire game. But that's the difference here. Like, when it comes to a video game reviewer in the journalistic space, those guys, they cannot turn around and stream it unlike a YouTuber can. Right? I can sit there and play a game. I can stream the game for hours on end and find something more in it. If any of you are interested in the channel, do subscribe to it, because I have a certain knack when it comes to video games of finding the glitches out of nowhere, finding the things that just don't work. But of course, that's because I've done a little bit of testing here and there for video games, which of course I can't disclose anything of the sorts. But once again, you're at the same mercy of it all, where you cannot just talk about it. And that's the thing. You end up with an NDA, and you're not allowed to say things like that. We have a big giant jellyfish right here. Let's see if I can get this on camera. Right there. We got a big giant jellyfish. That thing's huge. Yeah. He's probably still alive. Just comes in, bathes, goes back out to the ocean. They're pretty neat. I gotta say, jellyfish are pretty neat when it comes down to it. But yeah, like, if it wasn't for the fans I do have around the channel, you guys are absolutely amazing, and I thank every last one of you that do help the channel out, help things here and there. Afford a little bit extra when it comes down to the content that I can make. Throwing a random game my way every once in a while. Throwing random events for me to go to. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have the content. And yes, I will be going to a certain con in the very future, and that'll be an interesting experience. It's not something I'm used to. It's not something I ever thought I would go to. But we'll take a look at it. We'll do what we will and have some fun with it, because that's all it's about. That's what it's about, is just having fun ultimately. And I'm just enjoying life. And what better to enjoy life when you have scenery like this, right? Anyway, I'm going to sign off here. You guys have a great day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm your proud Canadian Phoenix, Cindershadow, signing off from a random beach in Nova Scotia. You guys have a great day. Well, we got the ocean life. If you like things like this, subscribe to the channel. I don't do this very often, but it's worth subscribing to, that's for sure. This has been a fun week for me to be able to stream and live the life out here in the middle of nowhere in Nova Scotia.